Josh Brinkman. Welcome. Thank you. I know. And I truly
Thanks for having me.
agree about like finding balance. Although, whenever the concept was first like introduced to me, I was like, what is that? I think my stepdad back in the day was like, you'll learn to listen to your inner guide about balance. You'll feel when you're off one way or the other. And I'm like, what is he talking about? Like, will I ever? But I think there is like an inner, I don't know if it's like an inner scale or weight thing where I can tell when I've like leaned too far one way or like I've been too much in like the going and not enough of like just like the being or like hanging out horizontal time. How did you like come to be with balance or like was there any like specific catalyst that spurred your balance insights or be like, hey, I gotta reorganize some things or
So we all have our storms that we go through, and storms
mm,
always pass, no matter what you're
mm,
going through. They do pass, and then you get to that point where it's just like it is what it is. If it's out of your control, what am I going to do about it besides stress? And then so stress is going to wear down on your immune system, your looks, productivity, your overall, areas of life. And so you just got to get to that. It is what it is, and whatever happens, happens. And then it just made me realize like I have to find a balance.
mm-hmm.
And, you know,
Sounds like a point of acceptance too. It's like, okay, here's the truth of the moment. Doesn't mean that it's going to be like the truth of end all days for those to come. But it's like, okay, if I accept this where it is, this storm, and ride it out, throw on my life jacket maybe.
literally,
and
yeah.
then the choppy water will turn to smooth. As you're speaking about that, I just revisited this little booklet that my dad gave me of like little insights. And one of them was like, don't sweat the small stuff. And he was like, I don't know where I got that, but it just kind of stuck. I've definitely not always followed that that advice, but yeah, it's been interesting to find, and maybe there's been times too in my life where, okay, in this section, I've got to make more appointments or be more like active or have like this burst of, creativity. But then there's definitely going to be a retreat time or like
Hmm.
more soother sailing.
And a lot of the struggles that we have in our life are so small compared to our like
Mm-hmm.
overall, plan in life,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just a short amount of time. And, just recognizing that and, checking yourself mentally and saying like, I am going to get through this. And, brighter days are ahead. And
Mm-hmm.
you just always have to have a more optimistic mindset.
Mm.
And it kind of goes with like studies that you can look up with like plants or like water. You're
Mm.
talking negatively to a plant, it's going to like wilt. If you talk
Mm.
positive to a plant, it's going to thrive and flourish. Same goes with water. If you're talking negatively to water, there's more positive.
Mhm.
Fact check me on this, but it's more positive ions or positively charged compared to the one you're talking negatively to, and it's negatively charged.
Mhm.
So,
I believe
and
that. I sing to my plants. I give them my moon blood. I do all kinds
and
of like
and there are studies
yeah,
done,
yeah.
and everyone can look this up, and
Yeah.
and
There
so like if you're
yeah.
talking negatively to yourself, it's gonna start like taking away and taxing
Mm.
you, draining you. But like
Mm.
you can definitely tell those who speak positive themselves. Their light is different,
Mm.
and their walk is more graceful and kind of just
Mm.
gliding through life a little bit more smooth.
Mm. I like that and kind of thinking about it reminds me of those experiments, and I think it was like I'll have to find it and put it in the show notes. But yeah, those experiments where they froze water and like, have you seen those where like they were different freeze frames of water and like people with joy or gratitude, and it was like these beautiful crystalline images. But if it was like negative words or harsh music, it was like,
Yes,
you
I've
know.
I've heard of something like that.
Mhm. And then if we think about how much water we are and like and then the conversations that we have with ourselves, I think that's super kind of a cool like correlation to or for the dots connect.
I don't want to get off on a rabbit trail, but
We
you
can go off.
you
We can
you speak you speaking about that about us being so we are like 80% water.
mm,
During full moons, I always tell people to hydrate
mm,
because you know it's well known that the tides change with the full
mm-hmm,
moon. And so, working in prison and also knowing people that have worked in medical fields or medics,
mm-hmm,
even nursing homes, they notice it usually happens in threes, but something during the full moon happens with people, either suicides or
Mm,
some, life-changing event, deaths, in
mm.
general. But, we're 80% water, the earth is 80% water. So, if it's affecting the tides, how is it affecting us when we're dehydrated?
Oh,
You know,
interesting. No, my dad was a truck driver. He used to say that people drove crazier on the full moon.
and that
And
too.
then a
Mhm.
paramedic friend of mine, she's like, "Oh, we get the craziest calls on the full
Yeah.
moon." I'm curious now. I'm like, since you mentioned that you work at a prison,
Where
I do have an ex there. It up.
lovely.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, "Oh, great." Yeah, so there's been, like, more is there hyperactivity or more, like, distress during a full moon or more ruckus? Or
It's, it's more of a rush of, patient
okay.
care.
Oh, okay.
It's, in, like, the medic field, they said that they have a lot
Mhm,
of more traffic accidents than, there's the hospitals, and they're just flooded with people in the
mhm.
emergency room. It just kinda varies, and then with the inmates, they're just a little bit more crazy.
It's okay.
So
I don't think I'm on the legal podcast for the iPads. I think I get, barred for it because I have sex in the title or something, and so they won't hear you, is what I'm getting at. Like, you can speak freely. Um, yeah. No, it's interesting. Okay, so happiness too, and I had, someone kind of, like, shifting gears a little bit, or I wanna circle back to the happiness that you, like,
Mhm.
spoke of. Because I do wanna say that's, like, what makes you happy won't necessarily make me happy or what makes and I had, an addiction medicine specialist on a couple weeks ago, and he had brought up the point which I loved. He's like, "We're really good at picking out the moments in life where, okay, we've got a bad picker or we're doing this or doing this." He's like, "But what about the times when we're happy and doing a personal inventory on those and, like, finding the commonality of, like, what are the things that brings us joy or lights us up, and then, like, weaving those more into our day to day?" And then there's definitely instead of just, like, relying, I feel like, on what we're told or sold to be happy, because I've definitely had, like, breakdown moments before in closets where I was like, "Okay, I thought all this was supposed stuff was gonna make me happy, and it didn't, so now what?" And, like, getting back to the core of, like, "Okay, what does Kristen like?" Have you had any, like, wrestling moments with happiness, or did you have, like, a good solid foundation growing up that, like, helped instill certain, like, insights or wisdom? And I'm like, how did you come to be with, like, certain, different insights or knowledge, or what do you think helped formulate some of that?
Surroundings,
Yeah.
upbringing, I had a really strong mom, she still is
Mm.
super strong, and she had just instilled a lot of value in me without, you know, pushing it down my throat.
Mhm.
But, also life experiences on my own,
Mhm.
we are all on our own individual journeys, and we have our own experiences, and it's just a matter of turning those negatives into a positive. Like,
Mhm.
when I was in a negative situation or I was dealing with some, troublesome time, whether personal through figuring out my purpose in life or
Mhm.
through an ex, I always told myself to get out of the rut that I am going through this to help someone else get through
Mm.
it better
Mm.
and easier. And
Mm.
that has held true every single time. And there was one guy specifically, and he was like my little mini me. And we worked together at a tea shop, and he was just
Mm.
coming out, and he was having a problem with a straight guy. And I was like, all right, shed your tears, feel the emotions, process it, and move on. I
Mm.
was like, because life is too short, and there are plenty of people out there. And remember, you're a little baddie. Let's get with it.
When in doubt,
And
remember your baddie.
until this day, he's like, I'm so thankful for you. He's like, I
Mhm.
really just,
Mm.
I know who I am. And
Mhm.
he's like, I'm that bit,
Yeah,
so
yeah. Instead of clinging to, like, that, moment of, strife, it's like a good way
it's
to
going to wear you
check
down.
or yeah. I definitely have, like, had a foundation or the insight as far as, even if I can't see it in that moment or I'm being challenged or it's strife or it's grief or whatever it is, it's like, okay, I know that at some point I'll be able to say, okay, this is how this worked for me, or I'll assign that meaning, or I'll find like the silver lining of the cloud. And I love what you two said about like being able to help like walk someone through a scenario, like through a path that you've walked, help like take off some of the load of their shoulders. Was that modeled for you for through other people, like doing something similar? I know like my mom had a real giving heart, or she would do certain things. Or share different insights or stories that may like help show a way. So I didn't know if that was like part of your journey or not.
Uh, Mom is always, I mean, I give a lot of credit to her. I was raised
Mhm.
by her, and she just is a caring, kind-hearted person and always thinks of others. So I know that's where it came from. And, there's been many situations where I put my feelings aside. So, you know,
Mm,
I'm letting someone else feel.
mm,
So,
mm,
but, you have to check yourself because, you got to make you a priority as well. And
mm,
your emotions, they count. And,
mhm,
it goes in there with that balance.
mm.
So.
I can definitely have some emotional thunderstorms. Yeah, now I'm learning just like ride that, emotional wave and then like, okay. But yeah, on the way here, I kind of thought, similar to what you're saying about like the optimism and like keeping that track of mind. I played this song that I love playing, Lovely Day. And I'm like, to me, it's like my declaration or proclamation. I'm like, today is going to be a lovely day. And so it's like, okay, then how the world shows me how it's going to surprise and delight, that's out of my hands. But I feel like if I start the day or a session or whatever it is, like with that, it's like I'm looking through that belief window and lens. So it's like I'll find the reinforcement for it.
It's I mean, it goes with manifesting, speaking
Mm,
your life into existence.
mm-hmm,
And you're speaking it whether it's negative or positive. So you speak in a positive lovely day, it's going to be a lovely day. You're going to have some
mm-hmm,
bumps in the road, but overall, you'll get over the hurdles.
mm-hmm. What are some of your like manifestation hacks or tips or tricks?
I really I have good intent always. I
Mm,
never have ill intent. Even if I'm coming off with a cold, hard shell,
mm-hmm,
I have good intent. And I just I know I deserve it. And that's where, manifesting comes into play, and it already exists. You know that you
mm-hmm,
deserve it and you're not doing anyone wrong and you have no ill intent. And meditating and visualizing that it's already present in here.
mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I'm allowed to say like,
You can say whatever you want.
Dr. Joe Dispenza,
Oh, yeah, I
but
love him. Yeah.
uh,
Daddy Dispenza.
oh, Daddy.
I love calling him that. It makes it more personal for me.
God, he's great. And his whole story and his testimony and where
Mm,
he's at now. He's
mhm,
changing so many lives with his past experience and, what he's doing futuristically. Overall, you know, anyone that doesn't know like who he was a chiropractor, injured himself in a vehicle accident, said he was never going to walk again. The surgeon said that, I think he went to two surgeons, and they said that he would never walk again. And he started visualizing and, speaking to each part of his spine that was injured that he's healing. And, here he is, he's walking around.
yeah.
And I've actually put that into practice with, I never say I'm sick, I say I'm
Mhm,
healing.
mhm,
And because sick is a negative
mhm,
word in your mind, so you're already telling yourself you're sick.
mhm,
So, with him, I started reading his book, You Are the Placebo,
mhm,
and stunning book. It's great. It's very direct and to the point, easy to read. And it talks about, you need to set a date. Like if you're not feeling well, like on a Tuesday, say like Friday, you know, by midnight, I'm going to be fully healed.
mm,
And every single time it's like worked. And I
mm,
had a person I used to know that was a customer somewhere I used to work, and she was not feeling at all well. And I was like, hey, this is going to sound so cuckoo, but like, please trust me. And she was very open, and she was like a coach and super sweet. And I didn't see her until like a month and a half later after she wasn't feeling well. And she comes back and she's like, I've been so waiting to see you. She's like,
mm,
I did exactly what you said. And within that time frame, I got better. And I just kept
Mm,
on speaking positive to myself that I'm gonna be better. Every cell in my body is healing.
mhm.
And she's like, I tried to tell my other friend about it, and they were like, you're like cuckoo cocoa for Cocoa Puffs. Crazy.
Yeah, I tried to tell my dad that too. I think it definitely takes a willingness to believe and like the intention, the willingness to believe and that sort of thing too.
Our minds are just super powerful.
Open-mindedness. Yes. Oh, I
Like
totally believe that.
they're more powerful than we're led to believe. And,
Mhm.
you know, um, you create the life that you visualize in your head.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I had a powerful moment at a little sex magic ritual at a retreat that I was at like last week. And it was kind of like about that future vision of myself and like visualizing. Like I was like, oh, I just had this like aha. I was like, oh, I am her. It was just like very cathartic. It was just like beautiful, like
mhm.
release. Just love it. I love like visualizing. I will say, like, I feel like growing up in the piney woods definitely helped with that because I was always outside or living in my imagination or
Mhm.
visualizing,
The Missy Woods.
yeah, yeah, out in the pasture. Like, I mean, yeah, we were always like hopping either from hay bale to hay bale or running, hunting dinosaur bones through like
Yeah.
discarded cow bones or something. Like, oh, so I feel like that definitely helped visualize. And I feel like if people aren't, getting a mental image, they could probably journal too about it or like ask themselves questions about the life that they want to lead or
Mhm.
the life that their future self is already leading. It's like, okay, then what do you do to meet that person?
Exactly. Like, I've read it somewhere, and it's like, you wouldn't have that in your mind if if your future self knew it wasn't already for you. It goes
Mhm.
something like
Mm.
that, and it's so true.